Over the past few weeks leading up to the release of Secret of the Mimic, Steelwool Studios has been dropping MCM archive footage showing off Edwin's different robotic inventions. At first, they seem like fun little teaser tapes. However, if you look a little closer, you start to see a pattern. And together, all these tapes reveal something very important. So make sure to stick around for the video and subscribe as we take a deeper look at these teasers and piece everything together. So like I said, each tape is showing off one of Edwin Murray's inventions. These are archive tapes, which means we might see a lot more of these while playing Secret of the Mimic. I'm assuming these will be collectibles or something like that. Now, if you didn't know, Edwin Murray was the man that created the Mimic, but it's not that simple. You see, from very early on in Edwin's life, he was fascinated with machines. At just the age of 4, he began taking apart his mother's small appliances to see how they worked. By the time Edwin was 8 years old, he knew he wanted to build machines that would change people's lives. He believed that he could make life better if humans didn't need to complete the mundane tasks of everyday life, like doing chores and whatnot. So this explains the machines in the archive tapes. We are being shown some of the robots he built that would make life easier for humans. A coffee maker called Stay Up Latte. It creates the perfect cup of coffee suited to specifically you, based on your coffee habits. The perfect cup every time, no more hassle. The machine even says,
"I know what you want better than you do. I am always watching and learning."
That's the most important part, watching and learning. Is your family distraught by the untidy nature of your house? Well, Murray's magic coat rack is the perfect solution. It can physically adjust to any of your needs. Clothes, bags, your pots and pans, it'll even hold your pet. The perfect invention to keep your house tidy. The most important part of this tape is how the coat rack can adjust to your needs. Are you tired of cleaning the floor with ordinary and bulky vacuums? Well, Murray's marvelous Cleanovac can do it for you. This machine can fit into any and all hard to reach places. It'll clean anything from the biggest to smallest messes. Your family will love this new addition. Not only is it a vacuum cleaner, but a friend. A vacuum with a mind of its own. That is the most important part. Want a friend that repeats everything you say? Pick up a Mycelium Men, a toy that repeats music or anything spoken to it. This invention mimics what it hears. So like I've been saying, these tapes are showcasing Murray's inventions. Machines that will make life easier by taking care of your everyday mundane tasks. Things like making your coffee, hanging your clothes, cleaning your floors, and even being a friend for your child. But with each invention comes a very important trait that is featured with it. A coffee machine that learns by watching. It'll make the perfect cup because it's learning from what you make. A coat hanger that can change its size to your needs. A vacuum that will be your friend. And a toy that mimics what it hears. So why is this important? Well, these are all significant traits associated with the Mimic. These machines are likely part of the building blocks to the Mimic 1 program. It's all connected, meaning we are finally seeing more details about the Mimic's creation. You see, as Edwin grew up, he would get married to a woman named Fiona and started a business in robotic vacuum cleaners. Life was going well for them, so they decided to start a family. However, his wife Fiona would die giving birth to their son David shortly after. Life would go on, as Edwin and David continued to live in a factory that Edwin purchased before David's birth. This is very likely the building where Secret of the Mimic is going to be taking place. But a place like this filled with machine parts is not exactly safe for a child, so Edwin would make changes for David's sake, meaning in the game we will probably see living quarters and whatnot. Now, the complexity of Edwin's machines required countless hours of work as well as expensive parts and tools. This, along with raising a son alone, would run Edwin's finances dry, leaving him no choice but to sell his company to Fazbear Entertainment. For the next year and a half, Edwin would build endoskeletons for Fazbears and attach them to the costumes they provided. So this explains all the animatronic costumes in Secret of the Mimic. However, Edwin's intense work schedule made raising David alone challenging. He realized he was unable to care for his son by himself. So Edwin pondered the idea of creating a robot that would help care for his son. So over the next 3 weeks, Edwin begins building this robot. The creation was made using a bunch of old parts around the factory. After the body was complete, it needed a mind of its own. So Edwin installed a computer with hardware from other old abandoned projects. He then used a combination of high-level programming to write a code that acts as a thinking mind that learns by mimicking what it observes. Once done, Edwin names his new creation Mimic, after the name of its program, Mimic 1. Upon activation, Mimic immediately began to imitate the behaviors it witnessed from David. The two started spending all their time together. David would teach Mimic all sorts of behaviors, one in particular hiding in the mascot suits, which is something the Mimic obviously picked up on. Edwin was amazed by how fast Mimic was able to learn these new behaviors, and interestingly enough, Mimic would not just mimic, it would also respond. So Edwin felt more confident in leaving his son in Mimic's care. However, one morning, tragedy struck. David ran after a ball onto the main road. He was then hit by a van and would pass away in Edwin's arms. For the next 2 weeks, Edwin was sent into a depressive state. His world was just taken from him, and the only thing he had left was the Mimic that acted like his son. And seeing the Mimic behave like his son overwhelmed Edwin with anger and guilt. So he took his anger out on the Mimic by battering him with a metal rod. Edwin could feel his murderous thoughts pouring through his muscles and transferring through the metal into the Mimic's system. While being beaten, Mimic was learning new angered behaviors. Eventually, Edwin runs out of strength and his anger turns to regret as he cries over the Mimic and runs away, abandoning the Mimic and the rest of his work. So why was all of that important? Well, this could be when Secret of the Mimic takes place, very shortly after Edwin abandoned the factory but before the first extraction team enters. Considering we are alone, I don't think we are part of the first team, but I could be wrong. It's also important to remember that just because Edwin sold his company, it doesn't necessarily mean its name would have changed to something with Fazbear. This is why it's still Murray's Costume Manor. Fazbear Entertainment just owns it. The name never changed. Or again, I could be wrong. We are talking about FNAF here. Now, considering how and why the Mimic was made, we know it learned its killer behaviors from Edwin beating it. That's very clear, and this is mainly why the Mimic acts the way he does. It learned, so it does. It doesn't understand right from wrong. That's what the Mimic 1 program is, learning from observing. That being said, I think these archive tapes are showing us the Mimic 1 program or something related to it. I'm assuming these inventions were made after creating the Mimic. As Edwin said himself, he wanted to use the Mimic 1 program to restart his company. So I think he did, and that's what Murray's Costume Manor is. His brand new company, all with the help of the Mimic 1 program. Meaning each invention he makes is using it because they all share traits with the Mimic. Learning, transforming, being a friend, and mimicking. They all have the Mimic 1 program inside them. Or I'm completely wrong. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. What do you guys think these archive tapes are for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, I have a Discord server, so if you want to chat with me, I recommend joining. And if you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter @TerrifiedT. Thanks for watching.